This episode is brought to you by the Roxbury Urban Dive Bar, located at 1743 Grafton Street, right on the corner there of Grafton, right across from the Scotiabank Center. Make sure to hit up Roxbury before a Moosehead game. You'll get a lot cheaper drinks, cheaper food than what you'll pay in there at the Scotiabank Center. At the Roxbury, $5 food all day, all night. You cannot beat that. They have a DJ 7 nights a week. On Sunday night, consider it Sin Sundays. That is an industry night. $3 shots and $6 doubles, $5 pints. Prices like that you cannot beat downtown Halifax. Wednesday night, consider it 90s night. The Boozy Brunch, $5 food, $15 pitchers of Caesar. That is a weekend special. Whenever you're hungover, get in there, get some brunch, $5 food, $15 pitchers of Caesar. That is a great bang for your buck. And remember, when you are supporting the Roxbury, you are directly supporting the High Button. So make sure to get into the Roxbury, get some food, get some drinks, get some good service, and you'll be all right. All right, Clarke, welcome. High Button.
Thanks, buddy. Thanks for having me, man. It's unreal to be here.
Everyone's, not that it's unreal, but every time people come the first time, they take a second, they look around because they see it on the camera.
Yeah.
And then when they come, they're like, oh, so this is what it looks like in real life. Apparently, it has a different...
Yeah, man. Like, I didn't know that...
Talking to the mic.
Oh, my bad.
It's all good.
I didn't know it's like the side entrance to the house, and yeah, it's unreal.
It's a good setup.
It is.
Not bad.
Good. I like it.
I'm gonna start off the bat here because I was told to ask you a question about when you dislocated your shoulder and Nogs had to put it back in. So I figured that would be a great story to start it off.
Yeah.
When I told people you were coming on, they're like, all right, bring this up. So
yeah,
I got some stories in the bank, but I don't know them because
man,
when you dislocated your shoulder, I wasn't there.
So this was the year before you came. I was an 18-year-old rookie. We were playing against Campbellton. And
in Campbellton?
In Halifax in the Forum.
Okay.
And anyway, we were routing them. Like one of the few games that year that we were actually winning by like 3 or 4 goals, or maybe more. I think it was like 7-2. We lost. I think our record was like 10-40 that year or something. It was bad. So we were feeling good, right? Like we're finally like beating a team like by a few goals. And I remember during the second period, I got smoked, like perfectly clean hit, like just got drilled. And like I was kind of pissed off, and like I was like, shake it off, man. You guys are winning by 5, like whatever. And then in the third period, it just kind of turned to a game like puck would drop, there was a fight. That would clear up. Puck would drop. There's a fight.
One of those games.
And like, I'm this little 18-year-old and I want to make a name for myself. And I had a goal and assist. And I was like, you know what, man? You never had a Gordie Howe Hattie. No. I was like, maybe this is the time. And this is the time. And this is so stupid. So 2 guys jumped on the ice to take a draw, but like the third guy on their line, I don't even know who it was. He didn't for some reason. And I was like, screw it, man. This is my chance. Go get a Gordie Howe hat trick. So I jumped over the boards. It wasn't even my turn to go. And I saw the guy who hit me at center. His last name was like Zetholinski. I can't really remember him. A pretty big guy. I said, hey, man, you want to go? Like, I never really did this before. I was like, you want to go, man? And he was just like, he didn't say anything, which is kind of scared me. He just goes... And I was like...
Well, with the last name like Zika, what did you say?
Zetholinski?
That's a scary name in itself.
I know. So, like, he didn't say anything, but he just kind of, like, nodded his head yes. And I was like, all right, man, here we go. It's like puck drop. It was, like, classic. We kind of backed up, dropped the gloves. Here all the boys, like, banging their sticks on the boards. Yeah. And it lasted... Belly might have lasted 5 seconds. So he came in, and he was taller than me. And he came in with, like, a huge, like, right. And I kind of moved out of the way. And I grabbed his jersey, and then he went to throw a left punch. So like first he threw his left, and then he went to throw a right punch, and I tried to grab his arm. Yeah. And he was so much stronger than me that he punched like as I was holding onto his jersey, and my arm went back and like went behind my head. And it just like fell out of place, and I just dropped to the ground.
Was that the first time you dislocated your shoulder?
First time, yeah. And it happened so fast, I wasn't sure. I knew I was hurt, but I wasn't sure what it was. Yeah. And the ref came down. He's like, "Hey, you okay, buddy? You okay? Like that looked rough." And I was like, "Yeah, I just can't move my left side." And he was like, I think your shoulder's out. So like he picked me up. He picked me up and like carried me over or whatever. I'm feeling so much shame. I was like, I just got beat up. Like fight lasted like 5 seconds.
You got the Gordie Howe.
Got the Gordie Howe, right? But so my dad's name is John. Fantastic guy.
Shout out John.
Shout out to John Clarke. You know, he's a living legend out in Williamswood, Sambro way. But it was so unlike him because he's usually like super relaxed, like super calm guy. Yeah. And as I was walking like back to the room, I could hear my dad yelling, and I didn't know what he was yelling about. Apparently, he was yelling at Tyler Nogler, who was our coach at the time, because he thought that Noggs sent me out to fight this guy for no apparent reason with 2 minutes left. And like I hear him yelling, which is like extremely unlike him. I was like, whatever. So Breaker takes me into the room. He takes off my gear, and he takes off my top gear, and my shoulder, like it starts here, but the top of my shoulder was down here, and it was like a shelf. Like you could see the bone coming out from like the shoulder joint, like my shoulder joint. I was like,
did you throw up? Apparently, when you see that, like,
no, I'm not that bad around that stuff.
You didn't throw
so
up?
I looked at it and I was just like, oh my God. And Tony was on our staff when you were there, wasn't he, Billy? He come not to all the games, but he worked at the hospital. So then it didn't hurt that much at the time, but it freaked me out a little bit. I didn't throw up or anything, but I was like, Tony, can you put it back in? Can you put it back in? He was like, I don't know, man. It's way down there. And I was like, I'll bite a towel. I was like, just put it back in. And he was like, I can't, man. You're gonna have to go to the hospital. So I was like, okay. And then I hear like a huge commotion going out in the hallway. Yeah. And I'm like, what is that? I was like, that's my old man. I was like, Breaker, run out there. I think that's my dad yelling like in the hallway, which is so like unlike him. I don't know what's going on. Yeah. And anyway, Breaker runs out, grabs him, and brings him in. And Dad didn't really say anything. I didn't really ask about it. I just thought he was upset because I hurt my arm or whatever. Yeah. So I ended up getting taken to the hospital. Like once I was there, like they knocked me out, put it back in. Once I got to the hospital though, that was probably the most painful thing I've ever been through. Like once all the adrenaline went away.
Did they give you a needle to numb anything?
When I first got there, I was probably in the waiting room for about 20 minutes, and then they brought me to a room. And I was in there for another half hour, I'd say. And once I got into that room by myself and no one was there, like the pain was just, and I'm not the toughest guy in the world, right?
Hey, well, Gordie Howe hat-trick.
You know, Gordie Howe hat-trick, so like, gotta give me some credit. But like I was hurting, and a nurse walked by, and she was like, and sweetest woman in the world. I don't know who she is, but shout out to this nurse. She's like, oh, sweetie, you look really uncomfortable. And I was like,
I love those ladies.
I was like, yeah, I really am. Like, can't even talk. And she goes, here, I'll be right back. And she runs off, and she comes back in with this needle. And whatever it was, Belly, it was God's gift to the earth. Like, she put it in me, and like my whole body went numb, and I was like happy. And it was like the best for about 5 minutes.
Well, those are the best 5 minutes.
Yeah, best 5 minutes ever. And then like the pain came back, but it wasn't too long after that they came. I just remember the girl gave me another shot of something, put me out, put it back in, whatever. So that was finally got my shoulder back in, like set me back up. So I was like, well, this sucks. So I go back home. This one, the story gets going. So I get home, and Poppy and Badecki are in my kitchen, because Poppy and Badecki lived with Tyler Nogler, who was our head coach, and he lived just down the road. Okay. So that's how Badecki and Poppy became best buddies, because we were just always together that first year.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, we would drive to school together and stuff, and that's kind of how we became buddies. Sick. But Wayner and Poppy are there, and like they knew my parents well, so they're just sitting there, they're like having a drink. And I was like, what's going on, boys? And I got like my arm in a sling, and Noggs was there.
Is this after the game?
This
like
is after the
same
game.
Night?
This is the same night, yeah. Okay. So I get home from the hospital, you know, Poppy and Wayner are there, and Noggs is there. I was like, what is Nogler doing in my house? And Dad walks in, and Tyler's there, and Dad just kind of walks up, and they just stare at each other. And Dad was like, let's hug it out, buddy. And they hugged it out. And I was like, what the hell is going on here? Because like they know each other, but like... I was like, I have no idea what's going on. I was like, Dad, what's going on? He's like, you don't know what happened, do you? And I was like, no. So apparently, remember when I said my old man was yelling when I was going off the ice? Apparently, he was yelling at Noggs because he thought
he put you out there.
He put me on to fight. So he yelled at him or whatever. But then my dad's not an aggressive guy at all. He's big, real big, strong guy, but like doesn't have like an aggressive bone in his body. Then he walked down to the hall, and he just came to see me just to see if I was okay. Yeah. Anyway, the game had ended because it was only like 20 seconds left in the game when I fought.
Okay.
Real smart, right?
Real.
And
he just wanted the Gordie Howe.
I just wanted it bad, man. It was my first one. Only one to this day. So you know, I'll take it. So Dad came walking down to the dressing room. Yeah. But when he was walking down, Noggs walking up, and Noggs thought, oh my, this guy's coming to fight me. Yeah. So Noggs charges at Dad. Yeah, Noggs.
No.
Yes, Noggs charges at Dad like in the hallway, and Dad kind of braces himself, ready to kind of grab him. And Bobby McIsaac saw the whole thing, jumped in between the two of them. They started barking at each other in the hallway, and then apparently my mom, shout out Velvet Clarke.
Oh my God.
She ran down and she starts I don't know. She was like trying to calm my dad down. So Bobby's out there playing babysitter between my old man and Noggs. And anyway, yeah. So Nogger thought that Dad was coming down to fight him, and so Noggs had to step up for himself, and it was ridiculous.
So at the end of the day, this is really Gordie Howe's fault.
110%. If Gordie Howe didn't invent the Gordie Howe hat trick, none of this would happen. But so that happened, and then they broke it up. That's when Dad came in, picked me up, went to the hospital.
Yeah.
And when Dad came back into the house, Tyler was there, and they kind of chuckled, and they had a man hug about it.
That has to be one of the greatest stories going.
Isn't that insane?
That's hilarious.
And like the best thing was, Poppy and Badecki. So
Yeah.
Poppy's just sitting there, like, I'm pretty sure he was having a beer, and Wander's like, they're hugging it out, bar, they're hugging it out. Like, we had this big, like, shit-eating grin on him.
That's who Badecki told me to ask you about the stories, like to ask him about the time.
Yeah. So it was a pretty funny story, man. I ended up, it was only like 5 games left in the season. I didn't get to play because I was hurt. But you know what, Belly, at the end of the day, like you said, got the Gordie Howe.
You're fine now, right?
It's pretty good. Like my range of motion's not great because when you're 18, you're told you're supposed to do physio, blah blah blah. I didn't do any of that. Once it felt okay, I was like, screw it.
Yeah.
So when we played junior, I don't know if you noticed, that's why you always wear that shoulder brace.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like, yeah, it's functional, but it's like the range of motion is not very good on it.
What a great story. I wish I would have known that back in the day when we played together. That's hilarious.
And then Noggs ended up, funny enough, he only lived kind of down the street anyway, about 6 or 7 minute walk.
Yeah.
But then he ended up buying a house right across the street.
So he just moved closer.
Yeah, he just moved closer. And so like him and my dad were like buddies, and they're good now.
I bet they laugh about that story.
Yeah, they do, man.
Where do you live at? Where do the parents live at?
So I grew up in Williamswood, where Tanner grew up.
Okay.
Like kind of Sambro way, about 15 minutes outside of Halifax, 25 minutes down from the
Were you and
downtown corner.
Tanner buddies growing up?
Yeah. So me and Manny played minor hockey growing up.
Okay.
Yeah. And he went to Harrietsfield School, which is just a little elementary school, but I went to Sambro, which is, you ever been to Crystal Crescent Beach?
Yes.
So my mom's family's from there.
Okay.
And so my grandmother used to look after me and my sister after school when we were kids.
Yeah.
So I went to Sambro, Manny went to Harrietsfield, but
Yeah.
for hockey, we both played for Shabukto.
That's cool.
Yeah. So, and he
didn't
was a
know
year,
that.
he was a year younger. So we played together every second year.
That's sick.
Yeah.
So you heard about the hype of Manny coming up through Shabukto.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
You were
Manny,
around it.
Manny was the man child.
Well, did you said that you did listen to the podcast with
Yeah.
your brother's were you involved in any of that on the back deck, those back deck games?
Okay, so I was only told about it. I played once really quickly.
Yeah.
We were young. But I didn't get bashed around by Tristan or Anton. It was more kind of like I was at his house and he's like, yeah, that's where we play deck hockey, and we just kind of stick into the ball a little bit.
Yeah.
So I never got into a full on game. But yeah, I heard they were legendary out there.
I was amazed by what they were telling me.
Yeah.
Amazed.
So Manny played deck hockey, and most kids grow up playing street hockey or road hockey. But the road that I lived on was a dirt road. So
Okay, just like Manny. Same
just
dirt.
like Manny, yeah,
okay.
just up the road a little bit though. And so we called it ground hockey because we had to play in our driveways.
Yeah.
So we never had the
Luxury of
the luxury of playing in like a tennis court or on the street or whatever. So we always played ground hockey. Sorry, in our driveways and stuff.
I bet that helps you with your stick handling at the end
It was
of the day.
unreal.
Like the rocks, you gotta be able to.
Well, you'd have like 8 kids playing in a room, in a driveway, not that much bigger in this room, right?
Tight quarters.
Yeah. And like the kids that I played with now, man, we're still buddies today. So
Yeah?
yeah,
That's sick.
So mom and dad, we moved to Spryfield when I was heading to grade 12, which is where Noggs lived, just in behind Elizabeth Sutherland Junior High.
Okay.
Pretty close to the Spryfield rink.
Okay, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
And so mom and dad lived there for 10 years, and they actually just moved back to Sambro this past year.
Okay.
So yeah, so they're out there. They're super happy to be back.
Nice.
Yeah, like it's kind of like when you grow up by the water, it's hard to explain. Like
Explain it.
It's hard getting away from it. Like when you grow up with it, it's awesome, but it's just a part of you. Like it's just a part of your life, so you don't think it's anything special or anything like that. Like I lived at Crystal Crescent Beach in the summertime. This is all I did.
Yeah.
But you kind of take it for granted.
Yeah.
Because it's just always there. And when I moved to Ontario, University of Guelph, I moved there for 4 years, and I was shocked at how, not claustrophobic, but like, I felt like I couldn't get away from people and things because there's no body of water to be around. When you're by the water, everything just feels big and open.
When you say water, do you mean ocean or lake?
Yes, like ocean.
Okay,
yeah. Lakes are awesome, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But like the ocean, it's just so big and vast and awesome. Like it's hard to kind of explain. And I was shocked at how much I missed the beach and the water and like just like the quiet. And so when I moved out there, it was awesome. I loved Guelph. It was great. I liked it because it was about an hour outside of Toronto.
Okay.
It wasn't like stupid, crazy busy. Like Toronto's an awesome city. Like I love it for a couple days or a weekend.
Yeah.
But there's just so much hustle and bustle, and I find it's kind of hard to kind of relax and chill.
It's the maritime in you.
It is, man.
Yeah.
It's the maritime in me. And I never knew that until after
Leaving.
I graduated from Guelph. Like it's a thing. And so when I moved back after spending 4 years there, I'm just so happy to be home. I'm so happy I went there. I met some awesome people, awesome times.
Yeah.
But it's just, there's a feeling here at home that you just can't get in bigger provinces and bigger cities. And I think you have to be from here to understand that, to be completely honest.
I can agree with you when you were talking about the water. My parents built a place out in Bridgewater, Pond Hook Lake, like 4 years ago. It's finally built now. So last summer we spent a shitload of time there, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah.
Sometimes we'd come home Monday morning, so we'd spend like 4 days in a row there. And I remember just coming back into the city, not even the city, just Bears Lake up here, driving in, just feeling claustrophobic with all the cars around.
I know, man. It's
just
crazy.
When you get up to the cottage, you're living the lake life, you put your phone down and you're able to just find your zen in a way, just like relax.
It's almost like oversaid now just through social media and stuff, but the word unplugged, you know, you got to unplug, you got to get away from your phones, and you hear it all the time.
Yeah.
But it's so true, man. It really is just kind of living without that extra pressure, like stimulus all the time.
Yeah.
And so mom and dad have been living in Sandro for about a year now. They were renting a house while looking for one to buy.
Okay.
And it's like right on the water. It's a big flat open yard. Me and my dad, we bought a boat, and my mom, I should say. So we're all 33.33% owners in the boat. It's called the Not So Bad.
The Not So Bad.
The Not So Bad.
It's a great name.
So it's a kind of shout out from the show Letterkenny.
I've never seen.
You never saw
I've
Letterkenny?
seen bits of it, but I don't know it well enough to know the boat.
Yeah. So the boat, like the name Not So Bad, like in the show Letterkenny, if someone asks you like, how are you now? You just say like, not so bad. But like when me and dad bought the boat, we're like, hey, what do we get? Because you got to name it, right?
Of course.
And it's just it's probably like 25 years old. The engine on it's like a little 90 Evinrude. It's probably, the engine itself is probably like 15, 16 years old.
Yeah.
And Belly, she's not an amazing boat, and she's not an excellent boat, but she's not so bad.
You're out on the water.
You're out on the water.
You're doing better than most.
Yeah,
you
doing
know?
better than most. So that's why we call it the Not So Bad. You know what? We should do an episode this next summer.
I'm down.
I'll take you guys out to Sandro Island, and we'll hike around in the lighthouse, and we'll go to the beach.
The High Button and the Not So Bad.
The High Button and the Not So Bad.
I like it. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Do you do fishing out there on the boat?
Oh, so this is my first, so I teach. I'm teaching now.
Yeah.
So this past summer was my first really like teacher summer.
Okay.
And every day I kind of woke up like 9 o'clock, whatever, get up. I go for like a walk, or I go for a run.
Yeah.
And then I was like, you know what? I guess I'll go to Sandro again. So I go to Sandro, and then I jump in the boat. And dad works early. He starts work at 6. So then he gets home by like 3.
He's a real man.
Real man.
He's a real man.
Yeah, real
He's
man. So he'd come home, and I'd get there around 3 o'clock, and we'd go out and we'd fish for an hour, and we'd do that Monday through Friday every day. And it was awesome. And you know what? You don't get bored of it. You really don't. You go to different spots. Like sometimes we go to the beach. Sometimes we go over to Ketch Harbor, which is a harbor kind of adjacent to Sandro.
Okay.
We tried to take it into town a couple times, but the old Not So Bad, like the waves in the...
Oh yeah, because you can take that into the city.
Yeah, you can easily
just
take
go
it to the
around
city.
the bend.
It doesn't really take that long as like the swell's not too bad. But
Yeah.
each time that we try, like the swell was pretty bad, and like the boat's pretty old, and she died a couple times on us. So yeah,
You tried.
Yeah, we tried.
What kind of fish are you catching out there?
At the start, so like at the start of the summer, it's mostly like pollock, and there's some. It's the pollock's is kind of like in the States they call it. What do they call it?
Pollock.
Like bluefin. Bluefin something, I can't remember. They call it something in the States, but pollock, it's kind of like a silvery brown. and they can be this big or they can be this big. They're
Really?
huge, yeah. And they just eat. They're the dumbest fish in the world, man.
Dumbest fish.
You just throw your hook out and you're basically gonna
You're a pro.
guarantee catch one. You can catch some codfish out just off Sandro. So I caught like a big like orange. Dad calls them rock cod, and whenever I don't even know if you're supposed to, but like whenever we caught a cod, if it was big enough, we'd take it home, fill it up, free meal.
That's sick.
But there's a big thing. It happens every summer. It's called the mackerel run.
I feel like I've heard of this.
Yeah, and so there's these type of fish that are called mackerel. They're usually about somewhere between about this big, so they're not huge. But billions and billions and billions of them come up, and they come right across the Atlantic coast, and you can catch them anywhere at any time in the summer. So like if you're ever down by the Dingle or if you go downtown, people are catching mackerel because it's called the mackerel run because they run in schools, like these giant schools. So
What does that mean, running schools?
So like they're just in groups.
Okay.
So like a group of fish is called like a run.
A run, okay.
Yeah. So, a group of fish is called a school, and when the school's running, it means like they're traveling together.
Okay.
And so if we call it when the mackerel are running, it means like a school of mackerel are coming, kind of swimming right by you.
Billions of them at once.
Oh, it's crazy. Well, maybe not billions at once, but billions of them come up the coast together.
Okay.
And so, but you can get groups of thousands of them easily. Hundreds of thousands of them. So you can cast, like me and Dad went down to the Dingle one night and we just had like a single hook and we caught like 60 each.
No.
Yeah. So, and a lot of fishermen, I come from a fishing background. My mom does. So my uncles fish and cousins fish full-time Sandro. So they go mackerel jigging. So they have like these great big giant lines and they got like little hooks with feathers on them and they haul up like 8 to 10 fish at a time and they use that for their bait.
That's incredible. I didn't know you came from a fishing background.
Yeah. So I was never tough enough to be your fisherman. I'm not going to lie.
Has Poppy ever told you some stories about what he does out in Cape Breton?
Well, Poppy's fishing here now with my family.
No.
Yeah.
What a small world.
I know, man. So Poppy, like when he first moved here, like I said, we became good buddies when we were like 18.
Yeah.
And he was always talking about crabbing and lobstering in Cape Breton.
Yeah.
I said, Poppy, you ever been to Sambro? And he was like, no, but I know. Like, never been down there. I was like, man, you got to come meet my uncles and my cousins because they all fish for a living. That's what they do. And so I brought him down, like Belly, like I'm not kidding. He was like an 8-year-old little kid. Like we drove down to Sambro, like I have hundreds of thousands of times. And he's like, Jesus Christ, boy, look at the 60 footers. He's talking about like the big boats that were down like at the government wharf and stuff. And he just fell in love with it because it was just like home. So I have 2 uncles that are kind of like local legends at home, I guess, Frankie Rhino and Gussie Rhino. So shout out to Uncle Frank and Uncle Gus. But shout out. But yeah, they've been fishing since they were little kids, and they dropped out of school I think when they were grade 8 and 9. They've been doing it. It was a little bit different back then too, because you can make a good living on it now, but like back then it was crazy.
I love the show The Deadliest Catch.
It's wild.
It makes me feel like I'm there.
And that's not playing around. Like that's whatever
That's the
you
real
see,
deal.
it's the real deal. Like you can easily fall off a boat and die. Like,
I was gonna say I don't want to talk about that, but like, do you have any stories that maybe like your family, maybe like I don't know, close call, like something that happened, anything like that? Stories like that.
Yeah.
Are
So
awesome.
like I can't tell like high details of it because I've only ever heard like bits and pieces of them like when I was a kid.
Yeah.
But like my uncle, so whenever a boat's in distress, like they kind of send out like an SOS kind of thing.
A flare.
Yeah, a flare, or like, it's kind of like it's like a call, like a radio call out that goes out to like kilometers around to the closest ships.
I'm thinking of the Titanic when they like put those red things.
So that's if like the helicopter's coming or the Coast Guard's coming, then they can see it. But many times my uncles have got an SOS call, and like I don't want to call it. I don't want to talk it down, but if you're close and you get an SOS call, you immediately drop your gear and you go help that person.
Okay.
Like it's like, do you know what I mean?
So
like,
everyone SOSs each other. Like if you're
pretty much.
close to
Like
the
you just
person.
try and whoever's closest, you just stop your gear and you just go. Like I don't want to say the word etiquette. That's what the word I was looking for. Like it's not etiquette, but like as soon as you hear like if someone's an SOS, that someone could die, right?
Yeah.
So like you haul up all your gear and you just steam out as fast as you possibly can to the people who need it, because the Coast Guard could be hours
20 minutes away. 30.
And so my uncles have saved countless people.
No way.
Yeah. So there's been boats that have sank, and like they've had to go out and like, you know, help prevent people from drowning and like bringing people back into the shore. Like
Are they talkative guys? Would they come on here? Would they tell you?
know, like,
Are you allowed to tell those stories? Or are they allowed?
Yeah, for sure. I could probably ask them. If you ever had Frankie and Gussie Rhino on here, you'd probably get like millions of views.
Okay, well, let's get
the
them
most
on.
friendly people in the entire world, man.
Man, stories like that, I absolutely love.
And they have tons of them. So, you know, this movie, The Perfect Storm.
I do.
Well, like the fishing community, even it's from like one country to another, like fishermen are very tight knit, just like, you know, the hockey community, right?
Yeah.
Like it's weirdly interwoven. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so my uncle was actually he knew the female skipper like from that movie in real life.
What's a skipper again?
It's kind of like the captain of the boat.
Okay.
Yeah. So
and knew the person.
Yeah. So he met her before, and she was the one that called out the SOS signal for the ship that went down.
No way.
Yeah. So and they've been out in storms like that, not like that particularly, but they've been out in some really bad storms. Almost got caught up. It's real, man. Like fishermen, they make really good money, and I know it's under scrutiny right now because they're saying people are overfishing and environmental stuff, which is a whole different can of worms.
Yeah.
But when you fish, you earn every penny that you make. Like, it is the hardest work that you can do.
Well, if the Deadliest Catch is a legitimate show, then I absolutely agree with you.
Funny, so my parents got married young. Mom was 20, dad was 22 or 23.
That's young.
Yeah,
are they still together?
Oh man, happiest couple in the entire world.
I'm telling, like, same with my parents. They got married.
It's insane. Like, I don't understand it.
It's a different generation. Like they still love each other. I'm like, hey, good for you guys. Like, I gotta find something like that. It's tough, but it's awesome.
I think it's a little bit tougher now. And again, we're getting different like can of worms here, but like finance. It's tough to get married. It's expensive, and people are traveling a lot more, and people are going to school more. And I find that like there's not nearly as many high school sweethearts because people date for like 8 or 9 years, but then they don't get engaged, and it doesn't really go any as fast as it could. But like back then, when you get married that young, like you're pretty much in it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, think about it. If you have a commitment relationship by the time you're 20 years old, think about the things you can do. Put your money together, buy a car. Put your money together, buy a house, have a kid. You know, you
exactly.
Can, if you have two people as a force together in one direction, you can do so many other things.
Yeah. So mom and dad are very much happily married.
Awesome. Congratulations, guys.
Val and John, I think they had their 36th wedding anniversary this summer, which is
36.
Hilarious. Yeah, dad's 59, mom's 50. She'll be 57 in January.
What did they do for what's the
honeymoon?
Not honeymoon.
Oh, for the like
anniversary. Like 35th. Did they have a big 35 year?
What did they do? I don't think they did a whole lot this year, but they've gone to Boston. I remember they took a trip to Boston there.
Love Boston.
A couple summers ago for their 25th anniversary, and this is like hilarious. This is really romantic here. So for their 25th anniversary, when mom and dad hold hands, dad uses his right hand, mom uses her left.
Okay.
And in Hebrew, they get the word committed on their wrists. Like commitment to their marriage. That's like when they hold hands.
Okay. That's romantic.
Right?
That's romantic.
I thought it was actually pretty funny. So they came back and I was like, what is on your wrist? Like, yeah, this was our 25th anniversary present we got together. So it's like so it's in Hebrew. So it's like, I can't read it. It's just basically scribbles to me.
Yeah.
But
it could mean something else they told you.
It could be. And it means the word committed, and it's committed to their marriage.
My parents got T-shirts made for their 25th year anniversary.
That is unreal.
And they gave
that's
it to
probably
everyone.
better than tattoos, man.
I remember the 25th. We had like a dinner party up here, and it was a Saturday night. So everyone at the dinner was just wearing T-shirts of my mom and dad when they both got married. And then I went out to the bar that night, and I just wore the T-shirt. And
Come on,
what's on your T? It's my mom and dad 25th year.
Shout out
you
to Mr. and Mrs. Belanger.
Yeah, of course. Shout out to them. But yeah, that was that story. What were we talking about?
I have no idea. You asked if mom and dad are still happily married.
Well, you said yes.
And we were talking about fishing.
I wanted to tell you a story about not fishing, but Peggy's Cove. Kind of not a sad story, but a cool story.
Yep.
This one, the Swiss Air plane crashed out there, 99?
Yep.
I don't know when it was.
Somewhere around there, anyway.
My dad, he's a diver, so he was the first response to that crash. So he said when he got there, obviously like flames in the water, bits and pieces of the plane everywhere. He had to dive into the water, grab pieces, grab bodies, grab pieces of bodies. Like he said that it was the most like he was still young at the time in his career, but it was a welcoming to what was expected of him and his job. And then after that,
I couldn't do that.
Think about that. So then he had to go after that. He had to go to New Orleans, swim in people's living rooms, find people that drowned, find things that you don't even want to talk about, want to witness. And he said that the first time when he went to the Swiss Air crash site was just a good understanding of what was prepared for his career.
Yeah.
So that's, I don't know, anything with the water, and I just find it fascinating.
And you know what, man? An interesting... Funny enough, again, like small world. My mom, so she comes from a big family, 7 brothers and sisters.
Yep.
And one of her sisters is named Norma, and she worked in the Coast Guard for years and years. And she was one of the first responders on the Coast Guard boat that went out to.
Wow.
That went out to that crash. And she and Mom, you know, we were talking about this not that long ago. Mom said that had a huge effect on her. Like that scarred her pretty good. Like I just can't even imagine pulling up on a boat and seeing, you know, deceased people. And you know, there's people who was alive, and well, no, there wasn't anyone that was alive in that. Didn't everyone die?
I think everyone died.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about this anymore.
Yeah, I know.
But anyways, you were talking
it's like
about
a morbid turn there, right?
Yeah. But yeah. Let's talk about, junior. I want to talk about Junior A bit. Some of the memories that we have together.
Yeah, man.
Lions, Marauders, organization changed around a bit, but stuck it through. Had a great time. Maybe tell me about some of your favorite memories, maybe from the Lions before I got there.
So, funny enough, I took a kind of a funny path with my hockey career. Well, it's Belly, similar to you, actually, I guess. I played high school for 2 years. Could not make a midget AAA team for love nor money. Just couldn't do it. And
it's funny how that works.
Right?
Like a lot. I won't interrupt you, but yeah.
So after my second year, but you know what, man? Those 2 years of high school where I played with all my best buddies. Like, we're staying at each other's weddings now, stuff like that kind of thing. So it was awesome. And after my second year, I was just like, and I didn't get a call for midget or anything like that after my second year. I was like, you know what, screw it, I'm just gonna play high school again, and if that's the end of my hockey career,
did you have buddies that played major midget and stuff like that?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Did you care? Did you let it affect you?
Oh man, it killed me, Belly.
Yeah.
It actually killed me.
Yeah, me too.
Especially first year midget. I kind of thought I was gonna get cut, but it was like one of the first times I still got cut in my life, so it was pretty tough. But I kind of accepted it and went and played high school and stuff. But after that, I grew a little bit taller between 10 and 11. I felt like I got a little bit better, and I went out for all 3 teams, paid for all 3. I felt like I did pretty good.
You do have great parents, paid for all 3.
Oh, wow. And Mom and Dad are so So the first year, same thing. I got cut from all 3. I tried out for every freaking team. Yeah. Got cut from all 3. Went out the second year. I got cut from, who did I get cut from? Subways and McCain's at the time. Okay. And then, but the McDonald's made the first cut. So I was like, this is the year, man. I'm doing it. And then got cut again. So I was like, oh, well, you know what, man? I'm heading to grade 11. I'll play high school again. And then I'll just play high school again after that. So anyway, after my second year of high school, just kind of made the decision, I'm going to play high school again. I'm not going to bother paying money to go for mid AAA. And then can't be on the radio. Must have saw it online, but I heard there's tryouts for the Wolverines. That the Wolverines were the junior A team here.
They had open tryouts?
No, that's the hilarious thing about it. I think it was in the paper. I read in the paper that the Wolverines set to have rookie camp the next upcoming weekend. And I was like, man, it would be cool to go out and do that. So I just kind of sat there. I was like, you know what? Screw it. Maybe I don't know if it's open tryouts or not, but I'll call the GM. So I went on the website, found the GM's email. I ended up emailing him. Said hey, I'm Ben Clarke. These are my stats. I played high school. I was just wondering if I could try out for your team. Blah blah blah. And then from the email, he asked me to call him, so I ended up calling him. And honestly, Belly, in the phone conversation, he was like, Ben, I'm gonna be honest, never seen you play before. I don't even know if you're good enough to come to camp. He's like, but I know your high school coach, Mike Ritzy. So I'm sitting there and I'm basically being told, not that I'm good enough to make the team, you may not even be good enough to try out. So I was like, oh, well, I guess that's kind of fair.
Who is the GM?
Oh, his name was Jack something, I think. He was, the year they had that huge brawl.
Yeah.
It was that year.
Okay. Well, I like the guy already.
Yeah,
what an answer.
Right? So he's like, but you say you played for JL, I know your coach, Mike Ritzy. I'm going to call him. And if he says you're good enough to try out, then I'll call you back. So apparently he called Mike, and then he ended up calling me back. He said, yeah, Ben, you know what? Talk to Mike. come to tryouts. They're next weekend. I was like, all right, like, here we go. So I show up and pretty much pissed myself when I walked in the rink because everyone's wearing the half visors. I went out and bought one though. I was prepared. Because like I'm sitting there like 2 days before the tryout. Dad's like, buddy, you're not going to go out there in your cage, are you? I was like, oh, man, I got to go buy a visor. This is the real deal.
Breaker's not going to give you one.
No, you know I'm not going to get one. Some little high school rookie walking in. So I walk in the first, like there was a ton of guys. There was 2 full teams worth.
Yeah.
So probably 40 guys. And they were doing their practice first. So I walk in, everyone's got the visors on, and I am so nervous. I can barely even talk. So I go out, skate, and we end up skating for that whole weekend. Mike and Andrew Roski were there. Who else was it? I can't even remember. Like, Shane Robar wasn't there. There's a guy named Matt Page. Did you play against him in
I don't know.
midget? You might have just missed him. And there was like a few other guys. Honestly, it's so long ago I can barely remember. And I ended up making it through rookie camp to main camp. So I was like, all right, let's go. Like, we're not doing too bad. Then we went up and played an exhibition game up in Antigonish. It was my first ever junior game. We ended up losing. And this was awesome. So you could have 6 fights per game in exhibition.
Okay.
So back then it was, I can't remember who was coaching. I think it was Timmy Boyce, Peter Memmercat. And like we had a few, I think Luke was there.
Yeah.
And we had a few tough guys. So he's like, all right, boys, let's go out and like, let's rough it up a little bit. And I'm like, not a chance. Like, I'm going to get the piss knocked out of me. So we went out, we had 6 fights in like the first period. It was ridiculous. And so the refs came over to our bench and we had no money, Halifax Wolverines. And he goes, all right, guys, like if there's another fight, the team who starts it, the team will be fined. So I remember in between the second and third intermission, Timmy walks in. God. Timmy and Peter walk in, like, boys, all right, we had our fights. If anyone fights again, we get fined and we can't afford it. So if you fight again, you're cut. Literally threatened the whole room that if you fight again, that we're cut. Oh, it was awesome.
Who said that? Timmy?
I can't remember if it was Timmy. I think it might have been Peter.
That's funny.
Yeah. So no fights. We ended up playing. It was awesome. I think Matt Anthony was there as well.
Okay.
So Matt played. And then we had another full week of tryouts or practice, I guess.
This is the main camp you're talking about,
This is the main
right?
camp,
Yeah.
And I got cut the last day before regular season, and I ended up being affiliate that year.
So you took initiative, essentially, saw an ad in the paper, sent an email, got a call, made it through rookie camp, and then made it all the way to the final cut.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
And then I was an affiliate that year, and then Timmy told me, he was like, Ben, I don't want you playing high school, I want you playing midget. I was like, well, I didn't get a call, Tim. I don't know who I can play for. He's like, Tyler Nogler he coaches down So Shore.
Yeah.
He's looking for another guy, I think. That or go play junior B out in East Hants. So I was like, I don't want to drive all the way out to South Shore or whatever. Like, I thought about it, and it's a lot of money and stuff.
Yeah.
But I was like, you know what? I might as well play junior if I have the opportunity to play junior. Of
course.
So then I went out and I ended up trying out for the East Hants Junior B Penguins.
Yeah.
And Matt Anthony was there. I was going to say. Who else was there? Me and Matt, I think, might have been the youngest guys. There's a guy named Randy Gilbert who was my age as well.
Yeah.
I think we're the 3 youngest guys.
I hear great things about that organization out in East Hants.
It was amazing. I loved
things,
it.
Yeah.
It helped improve my game so much being with those guys.
Yeah.
And I think it's a hidden gem, our junior B league.
Doodle won't shut up about it. He just talks about it all day.
It was awesome. So this is probably the year before Doodle played.
Okay.
And so I ended up making East Hants and I played junior B for my grade 12 year. And I loved it.
Yeah.
It was awesome. It just kind of prepared me like heading into junior for the next year, way more than, high school would have for sure. So I played out there. I loved it. Brad Ross played out there as well. Kyle Ross played out there. And it was awesome, man. I loved it. So then after that year ended, I ran into Tim. Did I run into him at a bar? I think I might have ran into him. I did.
Sounds about right.
I ran into him at a bar, and it was one of his old players' 20th birthday. Matt Snow was his name. And
I know that name.
Timmy was there. He played for Bridgewater when me and you played.
Yeah, okay, I know. He's a big guy?
He wasn't tall, but he was thick.
Yeah,
thick,
big,
strong, muscular guy.
Yeah.
And I said, Timmy, do you think I can come try out again kind of thing? I played one game with them with the Wolverines that year.
Okay.
And he was like, yeah, man, so what will happen? He kind of said, there's not that many people that really know about you. You're 17, play junior B, so we probably won't draft you, but we'll put you on a protective list after the draft.
Yeah.
And
Do you think that would have happened if you didn't see him at the bar?
well,
Because if you think no, that's amazing that the first time was through a newspaper ad and the second time was running into Timmy Boyce at a bar.
and now listen to this, it gets completely flipped on its head. So that year the Wolverines moved to Bridgewater, and Antigonish moved to Halifax. So technically, I thought Bridgewater was just gonna have my rights, put me on the protected list.
Yeah.
And Harlan Hayes, who was an assistant coach for the junior B team, got talking to Tyler Nogler, who got hired to coach the junior A team, the Halifax Lions, that were being brought back in from Antigonish.
I remember this happening.
And Harlan called Tyler for me. Great guy, showed Harlan Hayes. Called for me. He was like, "Hey, Ben, do you remember Ben Clarke? Because I actually played for a spring team for Nogs when I was like 12 or something. Like the Huskies, Halifax Huskies.
I remember
something.
they had nice jerseys.
I should have brought that. I actually still have it.
I should have brought that.
So he actually ended up calling for me, and Nogs was like, "Okay, like if you say you can play, like I'll draft him." And I didn't know any of this happened. So I was at the gym working. I was a little scrawny 17-year-old. So I was at the gym in Chocolate Lake, and my buddy Chris Ivanko, who played for Churro.
Yeah, I know Chris.
Chris messaged me. He was actually at the draft. He was like the Churro representative.
Where was the draft?
I think he was in Amherst.
Sounds about right.
I can't remember. And then he messaged me. He's like, "Congrats, buddy. You just got drafted in the 8th round to the Halifax Lions." And I was, honestly, Belly, it was as if I got drafted in the NHL.
Really?
It was.
That's how you felt.
I was so happy. I just like, I don't even know if I finished my work. I like jumped in the car, drove over, told mom and dad.
That's awesome, Clarke.
Yeah, and that's how
awesome.
That's how it started. Then I went to camp, played that first year, met Poppy and Badecki and Chad Locke, and who else played on that team? I'm trying to think of like who would have played with you.
Well, I remember I played with the Max, and we had practice right before you guys had a game. So after our practice, we just come and watch you guys play at the Forum with the Lions.
Yeah.
And there was I feel like there was a bunch of names that year. I just couldn't remember.
I remember. Well, Sab played.
Sab played for a bit there.
Sab
was he
played.
there all? He was there all year. Yeah.
Yeah. We had about 1,000 guys that year, kind of run in and through.
And
like 1,000.
I'm gonna tell you right now, when you say 1,000. You guys had fans that year. You guys had
we did have some fans.
You had some fans that year.
It was hilarious because it was the first. It was like the Halifax Lions were like a pretty good junior A team like back in the day. I think like 60s.
Oh, there was an actual team called the Lions.
Yeah, there was an actual team called the Halifax Lions.
Oh,
and I'm pretty sure
that.
Breaker was still like one of the trainers for the Lions. I think so, man.
That's another guy.
He was there for almost like 40 years.
But yeah, you guys had fans. I remember coming over from practice, and you guys, and
we were so bad. It was awesome.
I know, but yeah, you had fans.
Yeah, we did, and it was an awesome year though. Like just getting and Manny. So it was like me, Manny, Poppy, Badecki. We were the younger guys.
There was Cook. Cook was there. A guy named Cookie.
Cookie played. He came toward like the very end of our first year.
Yeah, a bunch of players came through.
And then the next year is when you came and Troy coached us.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that first year it was it was a pretty rough year. We had a lot of like 7-1 losses, 8-1 losses.
Yeah.
Well, funny enough, so Robbie Veriker, who was our captain.
Great leader. Shout out to Robbie.
Shout out Robbie, man. Fantastic. Might be the best. Is he the best looking guy you've ever laid out?
He's a stunner. He's
him and Manny.
Yeah.
I look at Manny as like, Jesus.
Those two guys walk in a bar, they're already there for 2 minutes. Everyone knows. Ridiculous.
So my first ever junior fight was against Robbie Veriker.
Man, you're picking the wrong fights, man.
Absolutely. He was my first ever fight that year. And he killed me. He killed me. So it was a funny story. We played the week before in the Forum.
Yeah.
And we sucked, obviously. They're crushing us like 7-1. And, like, I'm not an aggressive player. Like, I don't really hit that much. Don't fight that much. Like, very little. And I just missed time I hit. I meant to rub out a guy at the boards.
Yeah.
And I just missed him. And my shoulder hit his jaw. And, like, he went down, like, hard. He was concussed. And Miramichi had a tough hockey team that year.
Is that where he was before us?
That's where he was. Because he's from Miramichi, I think.
I got a story for you when you're done this.
Okay. So, and their team was, like, losing their mind. Their coaches losing their mind.
Yeah.
Like, I had a bunch of guys ask me to fight that game. We were losing like 7-1. I was like, screw it, man. I'm not fighting.
Yeah.
I'm like, not a chance. And then the next weekend, we did the Campbellton Miramichi trip. So we went up, played Campbellton.
Yeah.
And the next night, playing Miramichi, and we're driving to Miramichi, and I always call my dad before every game just to say hello, and like, I don't know, it's almost like a soothing thing.
Superstition?
A little bit.
Yeah.
And just like my dad was kind of like my rock growing up. He's like, hey bud, go out and have fun. Like, you know, you'll have a good game. Just work hard. Hopefully you and the boys do well, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But he's like, have you ever fought? He's like, you never fought before, have you? When I was talking to him, I was like, no. He's like, just be ready because
that's what he said.
Yeah. He's like, just be ready because it was their captain that I hit.
Yeah.
And he's like, you might have a little bit of action tonight. I think they're going to be on you. I said, yeah, I know. It's probably going to be pretty rowdy. So I started that game, and Robbie asked me to fight a guy named Keith Bomba. I think he asked me to fight. Who was the guy? Is the guy he played for Miramichi, and then he ended up playing for Dow. Kind of big guy. He asked me to fight. Almost all 5 guys asked me to fight the very first shift. Never fought in my life.
And you picked Robbie?
Well, I didn't fight him then. And Robbie came in with those stone brown eyes and this man beard. And I'm this little 170-pound, like, clean shave, not even clean shave, like, peach fuzz kid.
Oh, my God.
And he was like, let's go. And I was like, not a chance. Anyway, so we're playing. We're getting kicked like 7-1.
Yeah.
And Robbie asked me to fight every single shift into the third period. He asked me every single shift. And we're losing like 7-1. We're skating up the ice. He comes over and he whacks me. He was like, how about now? How about now? And I didn't say anything. And when I didn't say anything, he got excited. He's like, yeah. And I dropped my gloves. I just tried to hit him before like his gloves came off.
Yeah.
And he dummied me. It was hilarious. But like, it was mostly in the visor, and like I did okay. And I remember Anton was speaking about this. He was like, it's a terrible feeling before a fight, but the best feeling after the fight, like when you're fine. Like, and I remember like getting to the box, I felt like an anvil came off my shoulder.
Oh, it's the best.
And I looked over at Robbie. I was like, hey buddy, it was my first one. Like, thanks for taking it somewhat easy on me, even though he beat me up pretty good. He's like, hey man, you did fine. You know, Robbie, he's like, hey buddy, don't worry about it. You did fine. He goes, I was playing like shit, so thanks a lot for that.
Yeah. It's funny how all these things happen in Miramichi.
I know.
They all, and it's funny, the games before things lead up to an aggressive game in Miramichi. When we went there, I was on a line with Delosa, and I think who's the guy that we had? What's his name? And we cut him.
Taylor.
So all 3 of us were on a line. The game before, I forget what we were playing. We all played like shit. He ended up sitting Delosa. Taylor was still on the first line, and I was on the 4th line. So essentially, I go into Miramichi. I'm on the 4th line. Troy looks at me. He goes, you better fucking do something tonight. So I'm like, oh, great. What does that mean? On the 4th line. So I'm going to have to go. I get in there. I forget who I fought. Anyways, it was me. I fought. Rigas fought. And there was 3 other fights.
I remember that game.
It was just... I
remember that.
It was like a Thursday afternoon in Miramichi, and just a brawl. But the games like that always just happen in Miramichi.
And that's a tiny little rink, but like the fans are insane. Were you there? You were there when Bobby...
Yeah, we were talking about that on the podcast two episodes ago. Oh. The catch up on the peacoat.
I was right beside Bobby when that happened.
Maybe you have a better idea of what happened. Like,
I was right there.
So what happened?
So we lost like 7-1 that game or whatever it was. And I felt bad because it was Robbie's first game back in Miramichi as like a former player. So we wanted to play good for him and stuff. We shit the bed.
Yeah.
And the game ended, and me and Robbie, I was sitting by Robbie, I think, and somebody else stood up. And a guy behind us goes, hey, boys, thanks for the 2 points. And he had this thing of fries, but it was like half eaten. But then he had ketchup and mustard all in it. And he goes, thanks for the 2 points, boys. And he threw it, and it hit like back of Bobby's head. And like ketchup and mustard just went everywhere. And I looked up at him. I was like, uh-oh. And that's when...
See, I thought it was something else.
That's when Bobby retaliated.
I thought Bobby and him were chirping, and then he threw it. I didn't know Bobby didn't say. I didn't know that.
I don't think he did, man. Not that I remember. I just remember hearing, thanks for the 2 points, boys. And then just seeing this thing of fries come over my shoulder and hit Bobby. And did you see what Robbie did after that?
No.
Robbie sprint. You know how it's weird, like the tunnel?
Yeah, and there's the cage at the end.
There's the cage at the end. Robbie ran out. I don't think... Robbie's in med school. I'm going to tell his story anyway. Robbie like sprints like down the hallway, and where the fans exit out, there's that door, that cage.
Yeah.
And they're all yelling at him, and Robbie's he's like smashing his
the cage is locked.
Yeah, the cage is locked, and Robbie's like smashing his stick up against the cage. He's trying to yell at the guy to come back, and I had to go. Like, it was wild, man.
And then as we left the bus, people were throwing beer bottles at us.
That was the one where they threw the beer bottles at us.
We're just trying to get out of the Miramichi. Yeah. People throwing...
7-1 loss, ketchup and fries, beer bottles.
And then a long trip back to Halifax.
People don't really... Yeah, that's... It's another 5.5 hour trip back.
Oh man, those memories.
There's probably one of the best times that you could have, and I think all junior hockey players, even all varsity sports, people who are 19 and older who travel, one of the best things that can happen on a road trip is you get snowed in afterward.
Yeah.
Because it's green light means go, right? And then you go to the bar. And I think one of the best nights, I can't remember if you were there, we got snowed in Campbellton.
I was there. What are you talking about? This was the Marauders. We were playing for the Marauders.
We were the Marauders.
And you, me.
Yeah.
Who else was there?
Badecki, Poppy, Lenny, Tomsey.
No, but I'm trying to say what Troy did. We could tell this story. Remember he brought us to the front of the bus?
No.
You don't remember that?
No, what?
Okay, so we're in Campbellton, snowed in. We pull up to the hotel. Troy goes, "Hey boys, all the captains and assistant come up here, whatever." He brings us up. Troy gives us like $500.
Oh yes.
You know what?
Okay, yes. Okay, I do remember that now.
And he goes, "Go have a night with the boys."
It was unreal. And then because before we went out, the owner of the hotel came and bought us like a bunch of rounds. Do you remember that? Right before we went out.
I don't know if I remember that.
Yeah, so we were all down. We were like before we went to the one bar that's in like Campbellton.
Yeah, it was in the hotel. Yeah, it was. Yeah.
So we were there, and then the owner came up. He's like, "Boys, like first couple rounds on me." He like, there's 20 guys there.
Yeah.
And so he gave us like 40 drinks. It was awesome. But then we ended up going to that little tawny bar. I don't even really remember it that much, really. I just remember it was freezing. It was like minus 30.
The Dixie or something.
Yeah.
I forget what it was called.
So we ran out, drank there, and everyone obviously is a little bit of a mess coming back. And this is probably the most vivid memory I have in junior hockey, oddly enough. It's like 3 a.m. The boys are just starting to calm down. I was in a room. It was me, Poppy, and somebody else. Wayner wasn't in my room. Lenny wasn't in my room. But they're part of the story. And it's like 3 a.m. and I'm like just kind of getting ready to pass out. And when you walked into the room, they had like a bit of a half wall. I don't know why, but
what do you mean a half?
Like it's literally like a wall that kind of
to separate out. Like the kitchen area or something. Yeah.
And I'm like just kind of falling asleep, and all I hear is Clarke, Swanton bomb, and I kind of open up my eyes, and it's Wayne. He's in his boxers, and he's standing on the half wall. And the Swanton bomb is a wrestling move where you jump off and you do a front flip, and you kind of land on your back, but you land on like in the middle of the person.
Yeah.
I can't remember if it was Jeff Hardy. I can't remember who does that move. But yeah, Wayner goes, Swanton bomb. He does like this wrestling move. It lands like right in the middle of my chest.
You're
like,
sleeping.
Pretty much dead, like wake up. And he was like, Clarke, it was a perfectly executed Swanton bomb. Poppy's over there. He's like dying. And then like, I'm like, what is going on? And then Lenny walks in the room, doesn't have, ass naked, and the only thing he has on is my suit jacket. No idea where I got it. And he has this huge dip in, like this huge dip. And he's slowly like buttoning up the jacket. He goes, I'd say it's a perfect fit, boys. And he starts walking around the room, like showing it off. It's funny, man. Like you played junior hockey for like 4 years, and like that's the little stuff that you remember.
I'm getting so nostalgic right now.
I know.
Oh, that's hilarious.
So yeah,
I remember
rooming with Wayne. I don't even, actually. Wayner wasn't even my roommate.
Well, that makes it even better.
Trip,
He's just in the room.
But yeah, it was an awesome time, man. I couldn't have been happier that it all kind of panned out. From like we were saying, kind of all started with a phone call to a GM who I didn't know, and it just kind of blossomed.
Absolutely, like every single day, you just must have been like appreciative of just like playing there, like just having a great time. And you think about it, man, like over my 3 years, like the coaches I had too, like Tyler Nogler, he's now assistant coach for SMU. Bobby McIsaac joined us that year, so Bobby was excellent. Then we had Troy, who's now assistant coach for the women's Olympic team. Do you remember Stan? Yeah, of course, Stan Henniger.
Yeah, Stan Henniger coached us. By the way, Stan may be. And I truly believe this, he might be the most underrated athlete ever to come out of Halifax.
Really?
He played junior hockey. He also played in the American League. And then he also played for SMU football. I didn't know that. He was a star like in university football. And he's in I think it's the Canada Hall of Fame for softball.
What?
He is he was a ridiculous athlete.
Wow.
And
now that you say that, he has the build for it.
Yeah.
He was just the
toughest guy in the entire world. And so like he was super tough in hockey, and then he obviously that just must have translated it into football. And yeah, he was like, my dad was a ball player growing up, like softball, fast pitch, and he said like nobody could even
come close to him.
Yeah. Do you remember when his old man bused with us to Yarmouth?
I do remember that.
He sat with me.
Did he?
Yeah,
What did you guys talk
and
about?
we talked about softball.
That's it?
The entire time. He was like,
awesome.
oh yeah, you know, we went down and played those New Brunswick boys, man, they could pitch.
That's awesome. I
Yeah.
love dad stories.
Yeah,
They got so many.
It was awesome, man.
That's sick.
It was good. So, and just like the coaches that I had,
Yeah.
and how that kind of translated. And Troy was actually a huge help for me getting to
Guelph?
Guelph.
Yeah.
Yeah. So after our last year junior, which was an amazing year, by the way, man.
Great time.
Me, you, Lenny, Bobby Badecki, Johnny, all those guys.
Great
It was
time.
just an awesome year. We got put out in that devastating.
Let's not talk about it.
Yeah.
I'll still think about it.
Thank God dudes isn't here. So that, my junior career ended there, and I thought, geez, man, like, that's the thing. Like, when you're 20, and you probably went through this as well, when you're 20 and you play your last game, you're like, you can't believe that it's over.
It's the quickest 4 years of your life.
It is.
The quickest 4 years
It's
of your life.
unbelievable. And then you're sitting there and you're like, well, I may never play a competitive hockey game again.
Yeah.
Troy ended up getting hired to be the St. Thomas coach.
Yeah.
That year. So I went down and visited down there. It was, I don't know if you want to call it a recruitment trip, but he actually won an award. So I went up.
Oh, did he?
Yeah. I can't remember what the award was for. No, sorry, it wasn't an award. He was being introduced to the St. Thomas and Fredericton community because he was being hired.
Okay.
So it was like a little bit of a ceremony introduction. There was press there and stuff. So I went up.
Cool.
And while I was there, he had another recruit there. I think his name was Travis McIsaac. He was older than us.
Okay.
And he played for the Rocket, I think. So Troy was trying to recruit him to play for St. Thomas. And there was an awesome night, man. Like, me and him ended up going out in Fredericton. We drank with like a bunch of the St. Thomas guys. Like, he put us up in a hotel room. Like, it was an awesome weekend. I was a huge nerd though. Like, kind of still am. Like, I woke up at 7 a.m. and I was in summer school because, like, when we played junior, it was hard to take 5 courses a semester.
Definitely.
So did you ever take summer courses, spring courses?
No, couldn't do it. Couldn't focus.
Couldn't do it, eh?
Saw sun outside, just couldn't do it.
Couldn't get the mentality of it.
Couldn't do it.
So I was in a 3-week course. So every day that you miss, it's almost like a week's worth of work.
Yeah.
So I woke up like super hungover, and I drove back from Fredericton to Halifax to go to 1 p.m. class. But anyway, so when I was up there, like, Troy kind of showed me around, showed me the campus and stuff. And, it wasn't a guarantee he was going to keep me around for hockey, but
Yeah.
it was a little bit of a window, I guess.
Yeah. Sounds like your whole career. Just like there's a little bit of a window.
Yeah,
Just
that's
make the
what
best of
it was, man. You kind of have to scratch and claw a little bit.
Yeah.
But I actually worked a sports camp up in Ontario called Teen Ranch.
Okay.
Cool camp, by the way. If anyone is between the ages of 8 and 15, it's called Teen Ranch. It's on this huge ranch, and it's a horseback riding and hockey camp.
Love it.
So they have a rink like on site,
Yeah.
and they run this like awesome hockey program, and then they do horseback riding camps as well.
That's sick.
So I worked there that whole summer, and that's about half hour away from Guelph.
Okay.
And well, me being me, I obviously couldn't get recruited to play midget AAA. Certainly wasn't gonna get recruited to play university. So I just made up this email and I sent it out to a bunch of coaches.
Yeah.
And some of them responded like, "Hey, sorry, like, team's full, best of luck," kind of thing. Some I didn't even hear back at all. But when I got up to Ontario, the coach from Guelph was like, "Hey Ben, like, how long are you gonna be in town?" And like, that was it. So I sent an email back. I was like, "Hey, like, I'm here for the summer. Give me a shout if you ever want to meet up," kind of thing. Didn't get back to me for 8 weeks, and it was. So I just thought, oh, well,
It's over.
Team's full.
Yeah.
So I was 3 days away from going back to Halifax and just carrying on my life, just going back to school at Dow.
Wow.
And I get an email from him. He was like, "Hey Ben, just wondering if you're still in town. Like, wondering if you'd like to meet up."
8 weeks later.
8 weeks later.
3 days before. That's,
3 days before. And
were you talking to Troy at all before this? Like, you said he helped
No.
out. Wow.
Not
It
at
just
not at this
happened to
point
be
in
like
time.
that.
So I borrowed someone's. No, someone gave me a ride. Never been to Guelph in my life. So she
Swear to God, never been.
Swear to God, never been. Don't know a single person. So I go there and I meet the coach, and just for about an hour and a half, he kind of walks around campus. Campus is beautiful in Guelph.
Is it?
And the rink's like right on campus, and shows me like the sports complex and the gym and library, and does all that kind of stuff. Talks about the team and the program. Kind of talked pretty good talk, and at the very end of it, he goes, "Well, Ben, I'll be honest, just like the like the GM chat. I swear to God." He goes, "Ben, never saw you play before, so
That's
you
amazing.
can come try out. I feel as though you have a pretty good shot at like making the practice roster kind of thing. You know, he seemed like a really nice guy. Yeah, I told him that I was doing kinesiology at Dow, so I could probably transfer to human kinetics. He was like, sound like your academics are pretty okay, so you probably have no problem transferring to school. So if you want to come and try, feel free.
Wow.
So I was like, wow, it's a little bit of a crossroads.
Did you feel like you were in the NHL again? Did you get
Pretty
that?
much.
Did you get that same
I was
feeling?
like, this is it. So, but I was like, man, so it was basically like a faith. Am I really gonna fly here, not knowing, you know, the program or anyone? I don't even know if I'm gonna make the team.
Wow.
So I flew home, and in my head, I hadn't heard back from Troy. So I flew home, and I was like, I don't know what to do. Ended up getting a hold of Troy. Troy was like, Ben, would you like to come play for St. Thomas? So I went from nothing to having, I wouldn't call it an offer from Guelph, but having interest from Guelph. And then Troy straight up said, come play. You can come play for me. Problem with that was I'd have to restart all of my schooling because it's an art school.
Okay.
So Troy being Troy, Troy was always awesome to me. He was like a huge hockey mentor.
Yeah.
But and I was very honest with him. I said, Troy, like, listen, like I went to Guelph and the guy gave me a sort of offer, but there's nothing guaranteed, so I could move out there and then not play. And he goes, well, how about this? And this is all Troy Ryan. He was like, call him, tell him you got an offer for Stu, to put like a little bit of pressure on him and say you can't go unless you have a guaranteed spot. Ooh. Just at least on the practice roster.
It's kind of smart.
At least you're on the roster, right?
Yeah.
So you're not going to go up and just have nothing there.
Yeah.
So I said, okay. And it just felt like the better move with because I already paid a lot of money for schooling. I liked my program, kinesiology. I would have loved to play for Troy, don't get me wrong, but it just was just a better line where I was in my life.
Yeah.
So I called the coach and I kind of explained what was going on, and it just like fell perfectly into place. As soon as I said Stu has a little bit of interest, he was like, oh, so obviously that meant I can obviously play a little bit. So he was like, Ben, to be honest, and this was his like true words. He was like, we would love for you to come down and be a part of the Griffin family. And I just didn't even know what to say. I said, thank you very much. And he's like, I'll see you next week.
Same phone call. So when you called and said, hey, listen, Stu wants me to play for them.
Yeah.
The same phone call. He says, okay, well, we want you to.
And he said, come be a part of the Guelph Griffin family. And I said, and I was just speechless. And never did I ever think I was going to play university hockey. Couldn't even make a midget AAA team, right?
So what did you do right after the phone call?
This is the first time I'm ever going to tell anybody this. Hung up the phone, and my dad was downstairs, but he was like kind of creeping in on it. And he walked upstairs, and he said, what's going on, bud? What do you say? And I just kind of hugged him, and I just burst out into tears.
No.
And I said, Dad, like, I'm going to play university hockey. I'm going to play university hockey. And he just kind of went up and gave me a big hug. And
that's awesome, man.
I don't mean to be like too sentimental or anything, but like I honestly never really thought I was going to play university hockey. And it just kind of, I kind of had to self-promote myself. And, and even with that, like, I didn't think I was going to play that much, but just the fact that I kind of reached a goal in my life that I wasn't sure if I was going to reach. And that was a pretty special moment with Dad.
This is a great podcast due to the fact that we started out on you being so nervous to enter a junior A locker room at a rookie tryout to now.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool, man. I didn't know that.
So it was, and everyone's got different roads, I guess. Mine just happened to kind of pan out the way that it was.
Yeah.
But yeah, so any athlete out there, obviously I'm a school teacher now. I'm not making millions of dollars playing hockey or anything, but just that one phone call allowed me to get a degree. It helped me to meet you, be on this podcast, stand in my buddies' weddings, go to Guelph for 4 years, meet some of my best friends I have there, have awesome life experiences there. So just because you don't make it big or just because, you're not like a high end recruit, like doesn't mean you can't get positive things just from trudging away, right?
You're just one decision away from the rest of your life.
Yeah, you are. And you just kind of take it day by day, and it's kind of funny how it all panned out. So it was cool.
Love it, Clarke.
Good experience, man.
We're coming up on we're past an hour here.
Oh,
we got it. No, that was great. That was fine. Yeah, I really got nothing else. Unless you want to say, we can keep going if you want to keep talking. If you got something else to say.
Well, I guess I'll just talk about because Guelph isn't like that well known school around here. It's like, if anyone's ever interested in going there, go. It was amazing.
Yeah.
Incredible. I met so many awesome people there. Like my buddies now that I roomed with. Like I went there, knew nobody, but then since I played on the hockey team, the guys just kind of took me right in. Like the school is an awesome school community. The school's high academics.
Yeah.
They have everything that you ever need there. Rinks, like for hockey players anyway, like the rink's right there.
Yeah.
And I lived with 4 guys for 2 years. And now we're basically brothers, and we have a roommate reunion every year.
No,
so yeah,
that's
we do it at we're trying to do it either at Christmas or in the summertime. So we're kind of all sprinkled around the world. So one guy's in Buffalo, becoming a chiropractor. One guy's in Beijing,
cool,
running a minor hockey program. One guy's in Ontario. I'm here. So they've come to Halifax twice.
So you're going to Beijing soon?
We're gonna try and go to Beijing. Like it's our plan in the next 2 years to go to Beijing.
Cool.
And we went to Philadelphia last year. We watched the Philly Flyers play in the afternoon and then the 76ers at night. Then we saw the Chili Peppers play.
Wow, what a trip.
Oh, it was awesome.
Did you get a Philly cheesesteak?
I did.
Are they good? Are they the real deal?
Was good.
Not great.
I'm not like, I would, when you're in Philly, you gotta,
yeah,
rock the cheesesteak, right? Like I loved it, but I couldn't eat like more than one. Like they're heavy and thick.
Heavy, greasy.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, they're big time food. But yeah, like now we're going to I'm going to Buffalo, and we're gonna watch the Bills game and the Sabres game over the Christmas break. And
when are you going?
27th. So I'm gonna be the 27th to the 1st. So we're gonna watch Sabres play Saturday night.
Who are they playing?
Oh my God, Islanders. I can't really remember. I was so excited for the Bills game, to be honest.
Yeah. Who are the Bills playing?
Miami.
Sick.
The Dolphins. And
Sick.
I've never been to the NFL game before, so.
Are you going to go to the tailgate in Buffalo?
Oh,
Apparently those are legendary. Bills Mafia.
I was talking to my other roommate's Ben. His name's Ben. Ben Holton. We call him Holtzy. And I was like, Holtzy, I want to see someone dive through a picnic table because that's what they do there.
Yeah,
Bills fans for some reason just slam each other through like.
What's the move Badecki did on you?
The Swanton bomb.
The Swanton. They do that, but on tables.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm super excited about that. And yeah, it's funny now. Like I'm a school teacher now. I teach here in Halifax, and that all started, funny enough, from that one phone call from Guelph, and I went to UNB, got my teaching degree there, and now I'm back home teaching. It's awesome, man.
Are your students gonna watch this or listen to this?
I don't know. Possibly. I have some, because this stuff's huge now, man. So like a lot of students just in general listen to podcasts and they go and they live stream, and so this is, you're diving at the right time, Belly. So I
think so.
Yeah, 100%. Oh, maybe give me a couple of high button t-shirts. Maybe I'll sell them at the school.
Yeah, we'll get like a little table, a little booth set up, a little high button push.
Little promo
action,
kind of
advertising. Love it.
For sure.
We'll get it set up.
Yeah.
All right, Clarke, thanks for coming on, buddy.
No worries, buddy. My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
No, thanks for coming. We'll get you on when you come back from Buffalo.
Yes.
We'll get some trip stories.
So can you pencil me in twice? Buffalo, and then not so bad boat ride.
Yes, not so bad. We got to do that in the summer, though.
In the summer, 100%.
Sounds good. All right, everyone listening, once again, thank you very much for tuning in. Make sure to go to all of our social media outlets. I got to do this. Instagram, SoundCloud, iTunes, Facebook, Instagram. I think I said that already. Whatever. Like, subscribe, comment. You know what to do. Once again, thank you very much. We are out.